Hello there again, and welcome back. Another very wet day here in Sydney, but very busy. Acting works for me is going really good, so got plenty of work on, which is always great. And I'm about to brave the weather, drop my car off because I got a big crack on my windscreen. So as happens, lots of storms around here at the moment. So if you're anywhere where the weather's bad, make sure you keep safe. Thanks for everybody who's checked out the first two of my more specific video blogs. I've got an actor talks about themselves coming up shortly. I've got another couple to do, as well as I've got, I'm going to talk about directors with a director and some sound design. So they are on the plans as well. But today I'm going to carry on from last week when we talked. Well, first of all, we talked about learning lines 2 weeks ago. And then last week we talked about creating a character. So today I'm going to get more specific. So as part of creating a character and, creating, basically what you're doing when you're acting. Now, this can apply to film, to stage, to anything you do really, and also to writing. It's objectives. So that's what I'm going to cover today. Now, I guess objective, if you look at what an objective is, basically, it's what you're after. It's what your character wants in the story. And obviously you need to know, because then that decides how you react. And there's all these other things that come into it that we'll talk about, obstacles and things as well. But basically the objective is, what is the character want? What do they want? And I generally break them up into sort of three segments. Like, what does the character want through the whole story? And then what does the character want on a scene-by-scene basis? Because when you do a scene, or you're doing maybe one part of a stage play or part of the story, you've got that overall objective of what you want for the whole story. But what do you want in the particular scene? So, there's a couple of things you have to work for. So, generally, the scene-by-scene objectives, like what you want in that particular scene, that should match up with what you want in the overall story. Like, for an example, say a character's overall objective is that he wants to get a job, because he hates his current job. So he wants to get a new job, and he's forever trying to get a job. Now, each particular scene will be him. Maybe he wants to, do a new CV, or one could be he's going to do interviews, or, there could be a whole lot of things that he's doing. So he's got a particular objective in each scene, but they have to still match with he wants a job. Now, the third part, which is a little bit different. You could read all these different books like Meisner, Eric Morris, Ivana Chubbuck, all amazing. And, I think it's worth reading all those books. But one of them is that I came across a couple of years ago was called The Moral Need of the Character. So the moral need of the character, when you look at it like that, is another interesting way to look at the overall objective of the character. And sometimes the moral need is something that the character themselves needs to get, but they don't actually know. So, for example, take our character who wants a new job because he doesn't like his current job. He's got all these little scene objectives that he tries to do, and they all point towards he wants a new job. But maybe his moral need is that he needs to be satisfied with his life where it's at the moment. And you'll see that with a lot of people. They'll change jobs, they'll change partners, they'll change locations, they'll change houses, because I think that changing things is going to make their life better. Whereas, a matter of fact, all they have to do is be able to be content with where they're at. That sounds a bit airy-fairy, but, as an actor, you need to think about these types of things. So that's where I'll talk about a moral need. And it's really good for writing because it gives a different layer to things. So yeah, that's essentially objectives. And, like I've had different scenes, and when you're looking at objectives, it's something that the character wants, but it's always in relation to the other character that they're playing off, because you can't do it by yourself. And then, that's where obstacles come in, which we'll talk about. So, obstacles come in and they can get in the road of a character's objective. And that's where you start to develop point of view. And then I guess little objectives when we get smaller than each particular scene, quite often we call them beats. Now, sometimes in a script it'll say beat, and that means a pause. So there's two meanings to a beat. So that's a meaning to a beat. But quite often a beat is like a thought change, or they're doing something different. Usually when I work out a scene, I break it into, 3 different parts. Like, what does the character want? What is the character doing? And how is he doing it? They're the 3 things I break it into. So, but that's getting into beats. We'll get into that another time. So that's basically objectives. So, if you look at a script, or you're writing, or, you've got a play, or you're doing some performance, look at what the character wants with the whole story. Look at what the character wants in each particular scene. And also have a little think about maybe what his moral or her moral need could be. Like, what's the thing that they need to learn that perhaps they don't realize they need to learn? Anyway, that's a little bit about objectives, but I do recommend, reading as much as you can on that. As I say, Sanford Meisner, Eric Morris, I've studied him as well, and also Ivana Chubbuck. And they talk about that in different types of languages, but, they really go into that, and they go into beats, and they go into personalization and all this other types of things. So I'll go into that in another class. So, look, hopefully we'll get actors talk about themselves next week. If not, I'll do another one of these. Please send me your feedback. If there's any particular acting question that you want to know, lay it on me, and I'll try and incorporate it into the next video blog. In the meantime, stay safe. Have a great weekend. See you later.
Yeah, nah, sweet.